At the dawn of the Gulf War in early 1991, the skies over the Middle East became a dangerous gauntlet. Among the large forces sent by the Royal Air Force to liberate Kuwait were only 12 models of a supersonic jet attack aircraft, the aging SEPECAT Jaguar. Dismissed as obsolete, it was unexpectedly thrust into this hostile environment. Tasked with roles from ground attack and close air support to battlefield air interdiction, the Jaguars faced relentless challenges to disrupt enemy operations and protect coalition forces. Attacks against SAM sites were routine, pushing the pilots' luck every single time. These missions were sheer madness by Cold War standards, as the Jaguars dove right into the heart of the enemy's missile engagement zone at medium altitude, fully exposed to surface-to-air defenses. There was no chance to climb above the missile's reach, no room for error. Against all odds, camouflaged in desert hues and armed to the teeth, the Desert Cats took to the stormy skies time and time again without losing a single aircraft. In the early 1960s, the French Air Force and British Royal Air Force found themselves in a similar predicament. They both needed advanced jet trainers with light tactical strike capabilities. This shared requirement led to a collaboration, and by 1966, the British Aircraft Corporation, BAC, and Breguet Aviation of France formed SEPECAT, the European company for the production of the combat trainer and tactical support aircraft. Construction was shared, with Breguet handling the landing gear, nose, and center fuselage, while BAC managed the intakes, tail, wings, and rear fuselage. The first prototypes flew in September 1968, and by 1973 and 74, the SEPECAT Jaguar, a high-tech, supersonic aircraft, close air support, and nuclear strikes, entered service with the French and Royal Air Forces, respectively. Powered by two Adour turbofan engines, developed jointly by Rolls-Royce and Turbomeca, the Jaguar could reach speeds of Mach 1.6, a ceiling of 46,000 feet, and a range of 1,000 miles. The cockpit featured cutting-edge technology, including a digital heads-up display, night vision, GPS, and a helmet-mounted display alongside a radar altimeter, weapons aiming computer, and automatic direction finder, enhancing its operational efficiency. Despite these commonalities, the Jaguar exhibited variations tailored to the specific needs of the nations it served. Since the 1970s, the SEPECAT Jaguar program has earned a reputation for its fierce capabilities as an attack aircraft. During its 13 years of production, a total of 573 Jaguars were ordered, with France and the United Kingdom accounting for 403 of them. Over the next decade, 19 different variants of the SEPECAT Jaguar were developed, each tailored to fulfill specific roles within various branches of the French and British armed forces. The baseline French-made Jaguar, designated as the Jaguar A, was designed primarily for light attack and tactical support roles. This variant focused less on advanced electronics and more on versatility. It was equipped with French DEFA cannons and capable of employing a range of weapons, including laser-guided air-to-ground missiles, air-to-air missiles, and anti-radar missiles. A total of 160 Jaguar strike aircraft were delivered to the Armée de l'Air. At its peak, the Jaguar equipped 9 squadrons, typically delivered in dark green and dark gray camouflage. French Jaguars, repainted for desert combat, debuted in December 1977 in Dakar, Senegal, attacking insurgents in Mauritania. These aircraft were also deployed to Chad multiple times, starting in 1978, to combat Libyan-backed insurgents. Throughout the 1980s, the Jaguar struck military targets, including key air bases and radar installations. Over Chad, the model demonstrated its ruggedness, ease of maintenance, and capability to operate from rough airstrips under primitive conditions. And while the French Jaguar was designed for versatility and cost-effectiveness, the RAF's Jaguar was engineered to dominate the battlefield. The British Jaguars featured more sophisticated avionics and weapon systems suited for low-level strike missions. They were equipped with British Auden Mark IV 30mm cannons. They also had an advanced system known as the Navigation and Weapon Aiming Subsystem, or NAVWAS, which provided detailed flight direction and targeting data, enhancing the aircraft's effectiveness in its designated roles. Additionally, the British Jaguar could carry a heavier payload, including external tanks, various bombs, and US-built AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles for self-defense. These advanced capabilities of the British Jaguar would prove crucial on more than one occasion. The British purchased a total of 203 Jaguars for various duties, with an initial color scheme in RAF service of dark gray and dark green disruptive camouflage, although this could change. This new model replaced the F-4 Phantom in the low-level strike role, and while pilots missed the sheer massiveness of the older model and its heavy warload, the Jaguar proved to be a fine machine. At its peak in the strike role, the type was even the backbone of RAF tactical aviation in Central Europe, featuring 4 squadrons dedicated to tactical nuclear strikes, 3 squadrons for conventional tactical strikes, and 1 for tactical reconnaissance. These units served in operations like the Falklands War, where they provided valuable air support and reconnaissance capabilities. By the mid-1980s, it was beginning to be displaced by the Panavia Tornado. Still, the Jaguar would soon have a chance to prove itself in a crucial conflict. In 1990, as the UK and its allies prepared for a potential conflict to evict Iraqi forces from Kuwait, the RAF's Jaguar was believed to be on a path of steep decline, with only 3 squadrons remaining after being largely succeeded by the Panavia Tornado. Still, on August 5, 1990, following the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, the United Kingdom decided to deploy an expeditionary force to safeguard Saudi Arabia. Within this large group, some of the remaining Jaguars from RAF Kultashal were ordered to prepare for deployment to the Gulf as part of Operation Granby, the codename for all Gulf operations. On August 11th, elements from the 6th Squadron, 41st Squadron, and 54th Squadron, with 12 models, left RAF Kultashal for the Middle East. Repainted in a sandy color scheme, the aircraft chosen for this role were significantly modified to enhance their capabilities. Each Jaguar carried jamming pods, trap dispensers, and external fuel tanks. Upgrades included enhanced engines, improved radar, new defensive flares, radar-absorbent materials, gold film on windscreens, over-wing missile rails for AIM-9L Sidewinder missiles, and advanced cockpit systems. Wing Commander William Pixton was chosen to serve as the leader of the RAF Gulf Jaguar Detachment, or JAGDET. Pixton, known as Billy P amongst his men, was highly regarded by his pilots, as he encouraged tactical debates and consulted everyone before making his decisions. According to Mike Rondit, a former Jaguar pilot, Pixton had one primary goal, quote, to bring back the same number of people and airplanes that we started out with. The RAF initially planned for Jaguars to operate at their usual low altitudes, believing this would be safer against Iraq's dense air defenses. However, the introduction of advanced U.S. support elements, such as surface-to-air missile suppression, electronic countermeasure systems, and airborne command and control assets, prompted a shift to medium-level missions. This new role would again thrust the aging Jaguars into proving their famous adaptive capabilities. For maximum performance in Operation Granby, the RAF Jaguars would be equipped with British 1,000-pound bombs. Nicknamed the envy of the Americans, these were known for their excellent penetration and fragmentation characteristics. Additionally, the aircraft had rocket projectiles and cluster bombs. The JAGDET, unofficially named the Desert Cats, was the very first British attack aircraft to arrive in the Gulf. The type's rapid deployment and operational readiness reportedly kept Saddam Hussein from advancing further into the region. However, he was not backing down just yet. By late 1990, a series of UN resolutions imposed sanctions on Iraq, aiming to persuade Hussein to withdraw his forces peacefully. The diplomatic efforts culminated in UN Resolution 678, which authorized the use of all necessary means to evict Iraqi military forces from Kuwait if they did not withdraw by January 15, 1991. Now, the RAF's Jaguars were finally ready to unleash their power. On January 17, 1991, Squadron Leader Mike Gordon led the Jaguars on their first mission, targeting an Iraqi army barracks in Kuwait. With the enemy air force unresponsive, the airborne warning confirmed picture clear, validating their higher altitude approach. So the JAGDET continued to operate at a medium level. The following day, Wing Commander Bill Pixton's mission against Republican Guard targets was aborted due to weather, postponing attacks, including on SAM and AAA sites, to the following morning with more clear conditions. Over 6 weeks, the 12 RAF Jaguars in Desert Storm upheld a demanding schedule, with pilots flying 4 days on and 1 day off to continuously pressure Iraqi defenses. Concurrently, a committed team of engineers and ground crew worked tirelessly to ensure the Jaguars were always combat ready. During Operation Granby, the Jaguars focused on battlefield air interdiction, striking strategic targets, including SAM sites, artillery, weapon storages, and armored columns. This often meant medium-level dive bombing, which the Jaguars excelled at, executing barrel rolls into steep 60-degree dives from 30,000 feet, releasing 1,000-pound bombs with laser-locked precision. Flying in tight formations, they overwhelmed enemy defenses rapidly, minimizing exposure to anti-aircraft fire. Adhering to strict altitude rules, they never re-attacked targets or strafed with guns. Any unexploded bombs were safely dumped in the desert. On January 26th, Jaguars attacked an SY-1 Silkworm missile battery at dawn, part of a ruse suggesting an imminent U.S. Marine landing to divert Iraqi focus. However, the plan was so thorough that it could have become a real landing if the coalition's ground advance into Iraq had stalled. The precise and effective strike by the Jaguars was crucial in keeping Iraqi defenses focused on this false threat, ensuring they remained on high alert at all times. Additionally, the Jaguars also conducted reconnaissance missions. On one occasion, the Jagdet almost added an interception to their mission profile. During a search and rescue patrol, a miscommunication led 2 Jaguar pilots to be mistakenly identified as capable of air defense. As fast-moving enemy aircraft approached from southern Iraq, the Jaguars were directed to intercept. Despite attempts to correct the misunderstanding, the mix-up persisted. Just as confrontation seemed imminent, a more capable Saudi F-15 intervened, downing the Iraqi planes before the Jaguars were engaged. By early February, the Iraqi Navy had been effectively neutralized. During Desert Storm, according to former Jaguar pilot Rondot, quote, "We pushed the airplane way outside of its flight envelope. We overstressed it, flew it supersonic with full external stores, overtemped the engines, and gave the airframe a real beating, but the 12 jets remained stubbornly serviceable and just soaked it up. We gave them a pretty good workout in the air." Overall, in spite of being pushed to its limits, the so-called aging Jaguar performed admirably. While they represented less than 1/6 of the RAF fast jets deployed, they flew nearly 1/3 of the service's offensive sorties. During the period from January 16th to February 28, 1991, the Royal Air Force's Jaguar detachment flew 618 individual sorties against Iraqi forces, accumulating nearly 1,000 flying hours. The detachment's pilots dropped 750,000-pound general-purpose bombs and fired almost 10,000 rounds from their 30mm cannons, among other munitions. The French Air Force, also deploying Jaguars in the conflict, flew a comparable number of sorties. This demonstration of the Jaguar's versatility provided the aircraft with an unexpected new lease on life. As such, the story of the fierce feline, the only SEPECAT-created model, was not quite over. The SEPECAT Jaguar International, developed primarily by BAC, later BAE Systems, faced initial hurdles due to Dassault's acquisition of Breguet and their focus on the Mirage F1, which delayed export rights until 1980. Despite these challenges, Jaguar International's adaptability and munitions compatibility made it attractive to several countries, ultimately serving the air forces of Oman, Ecuador, Nigeria, and India, which emerged as its most enthusiastic adopter, showing interest as early as 1966. In October 1978, the Indian Air Force, or IAF, selected the model after an extensive review process. Over the years, India's fleet grew to include 168 Jaguars, with 40 assembled from SEPECAT-supplied kits, and 128 manufactured domestically by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, or HAL. The Indian Air Force continues to actively operate about 125 Jaguars as of 2024. The IAF embarked on the Darren 3 upgrade program in 2009, enhancing the fleet with advanced avionics, digital mapping, and improved navigation and targeting systems. Further integration of the Advanced Short-Range Air-to-Air Missile, or ASRAM, began with test firings in the late 2010s. The first prototypes of the upgraded Jaguars flew in 2023, with plans to modify around 60 aircraft, or half the current force. Despite the complexity and costs of further upgrades, Jaguar remains a vital component of the IAF's arsenal. The service has announced a phased retirement beginning in 2023, spanning over 15 years until 2038, marking a poignant finale to nearly 6 decades of distinguished service for this rugged and versatile aircraft.